In this tutorial, we're going to explore using the find function. The find function is the most powerful tool you can learn to use in SmartPest, and for that reason, we're going to go through a number of different ways that you can perform finds. The simplest find is to click on your magnifying glass here one time, then find a field that you want to search on. It can be name, it can be address, it can be any particular thing. It could even be something as simple as a map code. For instance, if you wanted to find all the clients that you had in the map code F11, you just enter the F11, hit the enter key, and you'll be taken to your found set here. It says we have one on record number 1 of 24, and we can look at those in the list, and you can see our 24 records right there. Say we wanted to know how many of those accounts were commercial accounts. Click on the find button one time, enter F11, enter commercial, and click outside the box here and then hit the enter key, and you'll see 2 of those accounts are now commercial. Another use for the find button is to get out of your found sets, which is whenever you have a subset created, and you do that by simply clicking the find button 2 times in succession, and you'll see now that disappears. We're on a record 3,823 of 28,179 records. Another way that you can perform finds is using dates. If we wanted to know, for instance, how many new records we added to our database for a time period, you could come over to the tab control down here on the right, click on the rec information, click on the find button, go into the creation date, and simply enter 12/2000. That would give you all the accounts that are created in December. Select the enter key, and you can see we've added 35 new records, which again you can view in the list mode. Another way would be to search those same records. Let's say that we want to find out how many new residential accounts we had for that same period of time. Select the find button, select the rec info, enter in the 12/2010, and go to the account type window, select residential, hit the enter key. And you can see we have 24 of those records were residential for that time period. You can also do specific date ranges. A date range would be where you'd want to enter a starting date and an ending date. Click on the find button, and I went back to our date here. And let's say I wanted to know from August 1st, I could enter 8/1/2010. And then I use the range function. I enter 3 periods and put an ending date. So let's say we want to go to the end of September, 9/30/2010, and hit the enter key. And you can see we've added 216 records during that time period. Now remember, those are all records, and the contact types here could be anything from prospects to customers to friends to vendors. So you can be as specific as you want. You can look up any type, and there is no limit on the number of different options you could add to a search. And one final find that is very helpful is to be able to find empty records. So if you need to go through your database to clean it up, perhaps you want to make sure that you have all the contact types entered, you could say find, and you want to make sure that you've classified all of your accounts. You just enter the equal sign, select the enter key, and you can see that we now have 8 records which we would want to go through and be able to classify them one at a time. So we can toggle through there. Here we have an empty record, so in that case we could delete that record. You're always asked if you want to delete. And then you can go through and say, okay, this is a residential, and so forth and so on. So that finding empty is also a very helpful feature. Another feature that is helpful is what's called the find and replace function. So let's say that we want to find a particular customer, and that customer, you remember, has their company name begins with LEY. So I hit LEY, and I get a list of 8 records, which I can view in the list mode. and I can see this first customer is not part of that company. So I can use the omit records. You can't see it above the screen here, but I'm going to the records menu and selecting omit record, which is also the command or control and T key. And you notice that takes it out of the record. Now we're dealing with 7 records. So you can also just click on the record, go to that record, and do the same thing from that individual record. We can see this customer is one of our residential customers. So I can select this, clean the record up, and then go back and use the Command T and remove them from my list. So this allows you to go through all of your customers. And we notice we have one more customer here that's residential, so we can eliminate them from our list. And now we're down to a list of all of our customers with the name Leyendecker Construction. Now let's say that we wanted to change the name of Leyendecker to Leyendecker Construction Incorporated. We can change all of these records at the same time if we use what is called the replace function, which is found again under the records menu. And you see it says replace field contents. Now the most important thing about this function is to make sure that you are in a found set of records that you want to affect. Because if you're in a found set of all 28,000, we would be making this change across the entire database, and that would obviously have disastrous effects. So when you use this, you want to be very sure that you're in your found set and make sure that you have good backups. So if I come to this record now, again, and I go to the records menu, I want to replace the field contents. You're presented with this menu that says permanently, and I want to emphasize permanently, replace the contents of the field, company name, in the 5 records of the found set. And so we're going to it's showing exactly what is going to be replaced. I select replace, and instantaneously, we look at our list now, all of the records are renamed to Leyendecker Construction Incorporated. So all of that was done using a find command, and then follow that with a replace command. And another quick find function is the use of these magnifying glasses that you see next to the company name and to the first name last name field. By clicking on the magnifying glass, what you're really saying is I want to find all of the Leyendecker constructions. And so again, you're presented and you go immediately to the list view where you can click on any particular record and take you instantly to that record. So if you have a lot of different accounts and you want each of them to have a different bill to, but you may have a number of different service locations, that's a great way for you to be able to organize all your records, yet find them very quickly. And the final find I want to talk about is how you would use the find in the reports menu. The reports menu is just above the previous button here. Every time you open the software, or if you come here to the report menu to select missed stops, what you're really doing is finding all of your orders that are marked pending from today backwards. So in other words, if you've forgotten to do something, maybe you've just forgotten to mark the record completed, and it's going to bring it up and constantly remind you until those are all done. You can imagine that if you miss a stop and forget to call the customer, that could have consequences of a customer canceling a contract or you missing out on that month's service income. So each one of these reports in this list are all really performing a find. It's just that we've automated those for you since you might use them quite often. Accounts receivable is one of the more important reports. Bid proposals. If you want to know all of the bid proposals that you've written for a specific time period, say I wanted to know either by technician or by a date range. Maybe I just want to know all of the bid proposals that I wrote last week. I can click that. The software automatically calculates what last week was. I select the continue button, and I'm presented immediately with a list of all of those bid proposals. Another report you might be interested in is a sales report. And again, it's the same thing. You can select by technician. You can select by any of these predetermined lists, or you can actually select by date. And so as you can see, you can use the date range search to allow you to compare any records against any other time period. I encourage you to explore all the various prepackaged reports we've created for you here, but especially to practice with the methods I've shown in these tutorials. The more you practice with the find function, the more satisfied you're going to be using SmartPest. The engine we use in SmartPest is FileMaker Pro, as I mentioned in another tutorial, and I've been using that since 1986. And I'm constantly amazed at how powerful this search engine is. So I encourage you to learn all the basic functions. You can explore other more advanced find functions in the FileMaker online tutorial. But for now, the methods I've shown you here will lay a great foundation. So that concludes the tutorial on finds.